under fire.
Today's film is a horror thriller from 2024 titled Fungus. The film opens with news broadcasting from all over the world, reporting of fungal spore clouds bursting in the air and attacking the human receptors, resulting in their ultimate demise. They're advised to shut their ventilation and stay inside homes. If humans don't come up with a cure, 80% of the human population will die. Scenes cut to a year later, where humans are on the brink of extinction. A young girl, Leah, wakes up in her room alone. Simultaneously, two scientists, Vera and Dan, are seen extracting fungal mushrooms from a corpse for research purposes. Their guard, Gustav, stays for a lookout. When a disinfected human shows up there, Gustav shoots him for his own protection. Disappointed at him, they return to their facility, during which Dan flies his drone to look out for spore clouds. When they get back to the facility, Vera goes to the lab to hand over the disinfected man's blood sample to Kim, who's working on the cure. Meanwhile, Dan catches up with Leah and teaches her how to fly his drone using motion sensor gloves.
Oh, how weird!
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah, that's good. Now see if you can steer it.
okay.
Back in the lab, the sample is of no use to them as the man wasn't infected. Sometime later, Gustav approaches Leah and persuades her to exercise, after which he teaches her how to make a spear by attaching their knife to a broomstick. In the meantime, Dan assesses the ventilation filters and finds a leak. Dan reports this to Kim and Vera, who become concerned. Later that night, Gustav persuades Kim to move everyone to a bunker nearby, which has a more facilitated lab. The next morning, Gustav contacts Johnny, the boat guy, to give them a ride. He agrees and tells them it will take him 2 days to get to them. He then returns to Leah and brings her out into nature, where they talk about her dead mother. Back inside, Kim packs up the necessary items in a bag, after which she pays Vera a silent visit. Meanwhile, Leah sleeps with another girl named Gian in their facility. The next morning, when Vera arrives outside the lab, she finds the doors locked and Kim infecting herself to study how the virus spreads. Vera becomes teary witnessing this, but Kim activates the alarm and forces everyone to evacuate the premises. She makes Vera aware of the bag and the bunker where she should establish a new lab soon and contact her through VHS so she can keep updating Vera on her situation and help her develop the cure. Everyone puts on their suits and heads out.
Leah, the best. Always the best.
After the drone scans and finds no spore clouds,
Dan.
they take off their masks and head to the woods. When they get closer to the shore, someone shoots Jan and threatens the rest of them.
The boat is down here. Come on. We are under fire.
Gustav stays behind to deal with them and sends everyone towards the boat, in which someone else is posing as Johnny. Once the boat casts off, Leah keeps Gian company, but Dan reboots his drone in the woods and asks Leah to fly it with the sensor gloves. The drone gets attacked by another drone. Before their drone dies, Leah is able to detect two men who have killed Gustav. She breaks down in tears and opens fire in their direction. Later, Vera urges Leah to move on and help her tend to Gian's wound. At night, Leah shares with Gian how Gustav was a friend of her mother who rescued her from school after her mother died during the global pandemic. She expresses that Gustav was the last link to her mother, whom she's lost too. Elsewhere, another group of survivors is looking for Vera and has developed a crystal drug. The next day, Leah notices the boat on its own and spiraling out of control. Tioki Johnny asks everyone to loosen the sails, during which Dan falls into the ocean. Leah throws him a tube and jumps in the ocean to save him. The tube fails to pull them back to the boat. Simultaneously, another boat helps Dan and Leah. They take them to their island, due to which Vera follows them too. They are welcomed by the island's leader, Ori, who's anticipated to meet Vera. Ori takes her somewhere private and reveals a drug that helps prevent them from getting infected. He further suggests Vera work as a team with him, but she refuses to do so. She takes a small speck of the drug to test it in her portable lab, which Kim prepared for her. While Vera returns to the boat to test it, Leah unites with Dan to snoop around as they find the place fishy. On the boat, Vera's test confirms that the drugs are breaking down the immune system to kill the virus. When she tells Kim about this, she suggests heading to the bunker to run further tests on the drug. Contrary to her, Leah explores the island's storage unit, and Dan watches their attackers show up there. Leah discovers a tied-up man, while Dan confiscates a mystery box and takes it back to Jian. He finds the military drone in it that killed his drone, which confirms they're lured here by their attackers. Vera visits Ori to discuss something. Scenes cut back to Dan planning on getting Vera and Leah back so they can flee. Simultaneously, Vera tries to tell Ori the flaw in his drug, but he keeps her occupied with a drink. Leah frees the man, who turns out to be the real Johnny. One of Gustav's killers also lurks on the island. Leah tells Johnny to get the boat ready so they can leave. Dan also walks up to Ori's office, where the guard refuses to let him in. Inside, Vera touches Ori's forehead and tells him he has a fever. She thinks the crystal drug is gradually melting their organs, but Ori accuses her of being the jealous type and forces her to make more for them. Outside, Leah also shows up for Vera. Their attackers also arrive. So Dan whispers to Leah and exposes the attackers for who they really are. Ori's other guards show up with Vera. All three of them for a public execution, so Jean grabs her sniper and cripples her way to an elevated spot. Vera tries to convince Ori to spare her, or else they'll all die of the crystal drug. But he presents one of his innocent people in front of Vera and exposes him to the fungal fumes to show her how one gets infected and grows mushrooms all over their body. One of the girls takes out a mushroom from the body and chews on it to breathe on Vera and expose her to the virus. She does the same with Dan, but when she moves on to Leah, Jian takes her shot and kills her. Chaos ensues, and everyone starts running around. The shooters also open fire and begin looking for Jian. Dan and Leah successfully hop on their boat, but Vera gets subdued on the dock. Jian takes another shot at the woman, which allows Vera to hop on the boat. Leah contacts Jian through comms and persuades her to return, but Jian is fixated on staying on the island to hold the people back and tells Leah to leave without her. Leah gets emotional and tries to convince Jian of the opposite, but she gets discovered by one of the shooters and is shot. Dan and Vera start the boat and cast off. Ori orders his shooters to prepare their boats so they can chase them. By evening, Dan flies the drone to the nearest woods. Leah controls it with her hand motions and comes across Gustav's body once again, which traumatizes her. The next day, Dan and Vera dispose of Johnny's body in the sea as he was infected. Dan gives a moral speech on how humans should be instead of what they've seen. Vera is confident she can come up with a cure now that she has the reading of their drugs and has seen how the infection spreads. We finally see Kim, who's on the last stage of her fungal infection. She freely roams in the woods and contacts Vera, only to say nonsensical things about the virus. She dies during contact, which makes Vera hopeless. She stops seeing the point in struggling to develop the cure for people who have become barbarians and don't want to be saved. Leah helps boost her morale by reminding him of Gustav and Jian, whose deaths matter and count for something. Vera lights up with an idea and tells Dan to increase the boat's speed and head straight in the direction they're already on. When they get off on land where the bunker is situated, they spot Ori and his shooters coming towards them on 2 speedboats. Leah stays back to divert them, while Dan and Vera move forward to locate the bunker. Side by side, Leah is seen distracting the shooters with the drone while Dan and Vera work on opening a padlock in the front. Leah provokes the shooters to shoot at the drone and run out of bullets, as she has become good at dodging. Vera and Dan use a small bomb to open the padlock. At last, the shooters begin shooting at Leah, so she unites with Vera and Dan. Ori starts feeling sick due to the drug and orders around the shooters. One of the shooters beats him and takes charge of his next move. Inside the bunker, Leah stays back to barricade the doors and asks Dan to find the lab as well as a control room to get the power back on. Unfortunately, one of the shooters arrives before she barricades the door, so she runs away from there. The shooter walks in and looks for Vera. Meanwhile, Vera and Dan discover people who have died due to the infection amidst whatever they were doing. As they move forward, they split ways. Dan hides behind the kitchen counters as the shooter arrives there. He feels someone running away, so he changes course and nearly catches Leah but heads to a room opposite Leah. Vera discovers the infirmary and starts collecting some medicines. Leah tapes her knife to a broomstick to make a weapon just as Gustav had taught her. Dan turns on the power, which helps both girls. Leah wonders why Gustav wanted to bring them to this bunker, which has no sources they required. Vera reveals that she's found a way to make the cure with the medicine she's found and will help cleanse their bodies of the toxins they've inhaled so far. Dan encounters the shooter, who's out of bullets because of Vera's drone distraction. This allows Dan to run away. The shooter takes out his handgun and comes after him. Dan throws a mist bomb in his direction to fog up the place. He hides away while Leah shows the courage to attack the shooter with her weapon. The shooter shoots Leah and moves forward. He finds Vera and forces her to walk with him, not caring that she's found the cure. As he's taking her away, Leah sees flashes of the past few days and gets back on her feet. She comes after them and strikes the shooter's head from behind with the drone. The shooter tries shooting her for the second time, but Ori momentarily wakes up and shoots him, claiming he's the only one in charge. Ori dies right after this. Dan also comes out and unites with the girls. Now having the cure, they all hug with a hope of restoring the human race. Here, the film ends. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome recaps.